Hi, in this video we're going to show you how to model a knight piece in TinkerCAD. Now this knight is kind of a complex piece, and we're actually going to utilize a new technique where we import an SVG or a two-dimensional file in order to create this three-dimensional file. If you had watched my previous examples with the pawn and the rook, we had built the base of this already using a tube here with a 20 by 20 dimension and a 4 or 5 tall height and a bevel, as well as a torus that contained a 20 by 20, a little bit more than that, and 3-inch, and then a cone. And that's how we built the base. In this example with the knight, the cone is the same, but its height has been increased to 13.5. So if you had followed along, you can copy your pawn and your rook over and then just change the height of that base cone because it needs to move up into the horse head itself. Now, this is a complex shape, and we could technically create this with many different basic shapes, but it might be easier for us to import this outline because we can't do it any other way. And also the scribble, there's a scribble where you can draw, and you could try to draw this in here, but TinkerCAD has yet to sort of give us any sort of precision drawing tools to make it look exactly the way it really should. And you may not be the best hand artist, especially using a computer, and that's why this is not going to be the technique we're going to use. So, on to the new technique, which is to import an SVG. An SVG stands for a scalable vector graphic, and it is a graphic that is essentially connect the dots, where there's vector nodes that act as dots, and there's lines that go in between them. And what we want to do is find something. So we're going to go ahead and search up a Google image of knight chess piece silhouette, and you're going to see various images that are black and white like this. And this was what we want to find. Something that has a solid white background and a solid black object, not anything with grays or anything with these extra little pieces in here like that, because when we convert this, we're just going to get what is white and what is black. So you can click on one of these and right click and say save image as, and then what we need to do is convert this to an SVG. If you have experience with Adobe Illustrator or any other vector program, you can do this in that program as well. But this demonstration is for anybody who does not have that experience or access to those tools. So you can also Google the term online SVG converter free, and you'll have a few different options for you. I'm only going to cover the first two that pop up in my search engine for today in 2024. And what we have is an Adobe one and an SVG converter called picsvg.com. Adobe is great. We love Adobe. We use them all the time. You can upload a photo here and you can convert it here. Press the plus and then go find that image. But one of the issues that we've run into is that there isn't any options. And so you just get whatever SVG it is that they give you. We downloaded this, we put this into TinkerCAD, and it came out reversed, where everything existed except the knight. So anything that was white around here became an object, and the black was just a hole in the middle. Not quite what we're looking for. So we're going to not use Adobe Express for this purpose. Instead, we're going to go back and find this free SVG converter as a demonstration. The other ones probably work just as well, but I know this one will work. So I'm going to upload a picture here. Images, and since this is free, it probably has all these ads to help pay for it. Sure enough, there's some ads. You're just going to scroll past that, and then here on the left side is our original that we uploaded, and then on the right hand side is a preview of the SVG, and this doesn't look right either. It's got some bumpy edges. The horse itself is clear and see-through instead of solid, and we don't want that. But we do have some options up here, one of them being the details, the other one being the filters. And if we click down on the filters, they have an internal option, and that allows this thing to now be a solid black piece with nothing around it, and that's exactly what we're looking for. So you're going to click the download SVG, save that to somewhere on your desktop or your downloads folder. I've already got this set up, so I don't need to do that. And then we're going to come back to our file here in TinkerCAD, and we're going to press the import button. The import button is available here, and it allows you to bring in different file types, specifically an STL, an OBJ, or an SVG. The SVG is the 2D graphic that we just downloaded. So we're going to choose a file, go ahead and pick the one that we got. I believe mine is in downloads. And then say open. Now, before you say import, you do want to check this, the dimensions of your actual imported object. My chessboard is 200 by 200, so this thing is over 3 times that size. So I'm going to go ahead and change my scale over here, and I can either do that directly here. I can go ahead and say I expect you to be 30 by 30, and that will go ahead and change that scale, or I can go ahead and put a scale percentage in there, which could be somewhere around 10, maybe more, 4%-ish. That's about right. Once you have those numbers the way you hope they would be, then you can press the import button, and you're going to see a little green box pop up showing you that it is currently importing. And then voila, there is our object. It's already 3D for us. You can change how thick it is by pressing the up and down scale, the Z scale, and we can rotate this thing around to stand it up on its side. Pull it above the ground by pressing D, and then rotating it however we need. And that is how we got that. You may need to work on yours. Yours may not be exactly as clean as mine. You could subtract away from these as well, bring this in. This guy has too much of the body parts on him, so we're just gonna go ahead and quickly add a box, select and subtract away with the group. That's one example. I'm going to go ahead and show you what I did with mine. It's a little bit of a different file, and that's okay. But at this point, you're basically into the details. And so one thing that I know about horses is that the top of their head is not as wide as their body. And so I went ahead and created a couple of boxes here that act as holes, essentially shave the sides of this horse off. You can see it's wide there and there at the bottom, and then I get it smaller down there, up there at the top. You have to do whatever works for your particular scenario and your particular horse. But once you group those together, then we have the horse head. I also added some eyes. If I were to look in on the eyes, they are just spheres with some tortoises around the ends of them. And I added those all together, stacked all of my pieces all up together, blended them, and now suddenly I have this beautiful, generic looking knight piece. That is what I've done, and now we're going to be on to the bishop.